Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea called blue ocean strategy. And the core concept? It's not about outperforming your rivals. It's about making them completely, utterly irrelevant. So, let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You're stuck in a market that's just packed with competitors, right? Everyone's fighting tooth and nail for the same customers. And every tiny bit of progress feels like this epic, exhausting battle. Well, that's the reality for most businesses out there. Okay, so to figure out how we can escape this crazy crowded sea, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the red ocean trap. Then, we'll see what it means to sail into the blue ocean. After that, we'll look at the engine that makes it all work, value innovation. We'll check out some real-world examples, and then finally, we'll talk about how you can chart your own course. All right, first up, the red ocean trap. This is really about the cutthroat competition that most of us are used to. So, most industries today are what we call red oceans. Think about it. The rivals are all fighting over this shrinking pool of profit. And as the competition gets more and more intense, well, the water turns bloody. It's a space where the rules are already set and everyone's just trying to grab a bigger slice of the same limited pie. It's totally a zero-sum game. But what if you could just leave that fight behind? What if, instead of fighting for growth, you could create it? That's what brings us to the big alternative, sailing the blue ocean. Yeah, this is the whole idea from the strategists Kim and Renée Mauborgne. They say the best way to grow is to stop competing in these overcrowded industries. Instead, you create brand new, uncontested market spaces, a place where the competition is just irrelevant. You're not fighting in that bloody red water anymore. You're sailing out into a wide open blue ocean. It's untapped, it's ready for growth, and you get to make the rules because, hey, you're the first one there. And this is where you really see the difference, right? On one side, you've got red ocean strategy. That's all about competing in the market that already exists. You're just trying to beat the other guy. You're exploiting the demand that's already there. But on the other side, blue ocean strategy, man, that's a whole different ballgame. You're creating a brand new market space. You're not trying to beat the competition, you're making them irrelevant. And you're not just taking existing demand, you're creating and capturing brand new demand. It's a fundamental shift in thinking. Okay, so you're probably thinking, how do I actually find one of these blue oceans? And the cool thing is, it's not about some random stroke of lightning in a bottle genius. There's actually a how behind the strategy. And the engine that powers this whole thing is something called value innovation. See, usually in business, we're told we have to make a choice, right? You either create way more value for your customers, but it costs you a lot more, or you create less value, but you can offer a lower price. Value innovation says, nope, forget that. It's the cornerstone of blue ocean strategy, and it's all about pursuing differentiation and low cost at the exact same time. It's about creating a huge leap in value for your customers and for your company. So how do you do that? Well, there's this really practical tool called the 4 Actions Framework. It gets you to ask 4 simple but super powerful questions about your industry. First, what things that everyone just takes for granted should be eliminated? Second, what factors should be reduced way below the industry standard? Third, what should be raised way above the standard? And finally, what completely new things should be created that the industry has never even thought of offering? Now, I know this might sound a bit abstract, but it's not just theory. There are some huge, iconic companies that have used this exact logic to find their own blue oceans. Let's look at some proof from the real world. Okay, the classic example is Cirque du Soleil. Back then, the circus industry was kind of dying, right? It was all about competing for families. But Cirque du Soleil came along and used that 4 Actions framework. They eliminated the really expensive stuff, like animal acts and big-name star performers. They reduced some of the traditional circus fluff. But then they raised theatrical storylines, the artistry, the sheer physical skill. And what did they create? A totally new form of entertainment that blended circus with theater for adults. They weren't trying to be a better Ringling Brothers. They made Ringling Brothers totally relevant to a whole new group of people. And then there's Nintendo with the Wii. Remember that? While Sony and Microsoft were locked in this red ocean battle, this arms race for better graphics and more processing power for hardcore gamers, Nintendo just sidestepped the whole thing. They eliminated the race for superior graphics. Instead, they raised things like accessibility and pure family fun. And they created this intuitive, motion-sensing gameplay that brought millions of non-gamers, families, seniors, you name it, into the video game market. They created a whole new game. And this is why it matters so much. Check out these numbers. A study found that even though blue ocean launches are pretty rare, we're talking only 14% of all business launches, they generated a whopping 61% of total profits. Let that sink in. A tiny fraction of the launches created the vast majority of the profits. That just shows you the incredible power of creating new market space instead of just fighting over the old turf. So, okay, how can you chart your own course? The best part about this whole thing is that it's not about waiting around for some magical bolt of lightning. It's actually a systematic path to innovation. Yeah, creating a blue ocean is a systematic process. It's not just a cool philosophy. It comes with proven tools and frameworks that are designed to help you reconstruct those market boundaries. It gives you a reliable, repeatable way to innovate. And one of the main tools for this is the 6 Paths framework. Basically, it's a tool that helps you look for opportunities in places you normally wouldn't. Like you look across alternative industries, across different strategic groups, across the chain of buyers. You even look across time. For example, Cirque du Soleil didn't just look at other circuses. They looked across to an alternative industry, theater. This framework is all about systematically breaking you out of that old, conventional, beat the other guy thinking. And they make it super practical too. It's not just theory. They give you actual tools, like this Path 1 recording sheet. It makes the process of exploring those alternative industries really tangible and actionable for any team. It helps you capture your insights and makes the whole search systematic. So at the end of the day, what's this all about? It's about changing the question you're asking. You have to stop asking, how do I beat the competition? And start asking a totally different question. The question is, what's your blue ocean?